Alright, people, midweek report time. So, this might be a slightly shorter midweek report than we're normally used to seeing. The reality is, this is primarily going to be about Anthony Joshua, Daniel Dubois, because that really is the most news that's been coming this week. It is like, that's what people care about this week. And I think there's a lot this week happening that we can talk about. And I think we'll start it now. At the time we're recording, it's just gone past 7 p.m. So the press conference for Joshua Dubois has already started, but the main guys, Joshua and Dubois, having their talk is only just about to kick off. So I will obviously react to that once this video goes up. I'll rewatch it and have a reaction to it. We'll talk about, and that's as if everything is hinging on the press conference. It's not. There's been a lot to talk about this week. One of the main talking points that's on people's lips is obviously the Don Charles situation. We really don't know what's going on with Don Charles. Now, I've seen Michael Benson tweet that he's been approached by Queensbeach reps who've said that Don Charles will be there on fight night. You're seeing other people on boxing forums on X saying, like, oh, well, we're hearing rumours that Don Charles has been sacked. I cannot envision them doing that. I know people have been saying, well, look, it's Daniel Dubois' dad who's really got the influence in the corner. And yeah, but you wouldn't want to change it that dramatically. I mean, Don Charles does obviously give some input as well. Whether Dubois he's it or not, that's another question. But to do something like that days before a fight, I mean, that is just, I could understand someone at, a small hall level, having a row or a tiff with their trainer who's, their former amateur coach or something like that. And yeah, before I fight this journeyman, you're gone. I can understand that. And they say, okay, fine, yeah, fair enough, whatever. But not on a stage like this, world heavyweight title on the line, Wembley Stadium, 96,000 you gotta be crazy to do that. You would actually have to be crazy. Then you've other people saying that this is all part of the mind games. Again, I don't see how that would benefit Dubois. Having Anthony Joshua would think that there's calamity in your team. I think that would just make him more, calamity in the team. He doesn't even know what he's doing. All right, this is going to be like taking candy from a baby. That's genuinely how it would be. Yeah, I would interpret that if this was, part of the plan, because to me that just doesn't seem, right at all. I think that I don't know is the honest answer. Maybe Don Charles is there to do his job on Saturday, but it's just only there to do his job on Saturday and that's it. Going to, and again, Don Charles is London based, but going to these events, having to be around Team Dubois when it's clear that, maybe him and the dad don't see eye to eye. And I was watching Hatman's video, which he did today on Spencer Fearon and some of the claims Spencer Fearon is making about Daniel Dubois' dad and some of the things he is alleged, you got to throw that word in there, alleged to be partaking in. I mean, that's Spencer Fearon saying, but whoa. I've seen many things come up in my newsfeed and videos, but I wasn't expecting to see something like that. And Spencer Fearon says that it'll backfire. Strange. Spencer Fearon obviously close to Don Charles, and if you're close to someone and you see your mate being treated in a bad way by someone who is purported to be a mate as well, you're not just gonna sit down and just say nothing. You're gonna be like, yeah, what the F? So Team Dubois, they've been, Dubois' dad isn't as loud as John Fury. He's not going and doing what John Fury was doing, but he seems to be a similar type in a sense of, he wants complete control, and it's a strange one, and I think I was saying as well that Dubois' sister Caroline is still with Shane McGuigan, but Daniel isn't. I mean, obviously Caroline has, well, you hear her in interview, she's definitely got more to her in the nicest way than Daniel, to say, well, no, I'm happy with Shane, I'm staying with Shane, he can do whatever he wants, he can say whatever he wants, he's the guy. Dubois just seems to follow his dad everywhere, and it's helped him in certain fights, like against Miller and against Turgovic, but I don't like what I'm seeing. If this is the whole thing, Don Charles being pushed to the side, all this friction, you've Spencer Fearon saying this, it's not a good. I personally, for me, if I had a fighter, I wouldn't want him to be around any of this. I'd be just like, calm, everything. And Dubois is such a kind of introvert character, it probably goes over his head, but it's still been absolutely bizarre, the build up this week. It really has been. Joshua is doing what Joshua does. He's taking it in his stride. He's, posing with the fans. He's enjoying it, as he always does when he fights at home in London. And with him, he's experienced. He's fought in headline Wembley Stadium before. He's done everything there is to be done. So for him, this is just another day in the office. The PR is just what he does. He seems to enjoy it. So with Anthony Joshua, it's nothing really out of the ordinary. In terms of the card itself, right, we'll do a quick preview. Mark Chamberlain, Josh Padley is going to kick this show off. Now, I don't know what order they're going to do it in BoxRec, but we'll talk about Josh Kelly, Ishmael Davis. I seen Ishmael Davis say that Josh Kelly's best win is Troy Williamson, and that's the same for Ishmael Davis, and that every time Josh Kelly stepped up, he's lost. And he brings Ray Robinson up because obviously that was a draw officially, but many people think that he lost that fight. And it was interesting. Kelly kind of tried to counter argument and say, well, I destroyed, I ruined Troy Williamson. No, you didn't, mate. You outboxed him for 12 rounds. He was absolutely perfect after the fight. It wasn't like you gave him a Hail Mary beating and all of a sudden you'd be like, oh, the prime's gone out with him. No, you just outboxed him for 12 rounds. You didn't do anything really. Just outboxed him. And, Troy Williamson, a lot of people felt like he beat Kevin Jago, so he still had something left, and he's had to move up to 160. If this was, and I've said, a lot of fighters, when this fight was announced, that his fight with Liam Smith was off, a lot of fighters jumped at the opportunity. Now, some would say they jumped at the opportunity because the big payday involved, working with the Saudis. But I was like, well, hang on a minute. They obviously are going to jump at the big payday, but they're obviously, a lot of these are young, up and coming. But a lot of these fighters are fighters, who, it's not like they're over the hill or anything like that. They're like, I'll fight. And they obviously don't see Josh Kelly as what Josh Kelly sees himself. And I've always said I've never really seen Josh Kelly as, a world beater or anything like that. He's athletic, but that's it. And, when he's made to work at a pace that doesn't suit him, very quick. Like, it was like that against Avanesian. It was like, whoa, he's capitulated quickly. So if this was a full Ishmael Davis full camp, I think it'd be a very competitive fight. I think Kelly will probably edge this fight, but I wouldn't rule out an upset. I wouldn't rule out an upset in the slightest. Kikache versus Warrington, non-title fight, thank God for that. This will be a fun fight while it lasts, but Kikache should win it. Boazzi, I'm picking him over Willie Hutchinson, and Tyler Denny against Hamza Shearis. I'm not going to pick Tyler Denny. I'm sure there was someone going to think he's saying no. I like Tyler Denny, great guy, absolute gentleman, but no, Hamza Shearis should win that fight because I haven't got a chance to do a prediction video for the fight. Those are my predictions. Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk will both be ringside for Anthony Joshua versus Daniel Dubois on Saturday. Apparently there is going to be a little bit of a meet and greet. Well, it's a kind of a face-off meet and greet sort of thing between Fury and Usyk in Box Park, which is literally, if you're walking towards Wembley Stadium, Box Park is on the right. Yeah, it is on the right. Just before it, not long before it. So they'll be having a little fan meet up in there. Alexander Usyk had a rather eventful few days. I mean, to say he had a hard time trying to get to London was an understatement. So obviously it was Tuesday night, I believe it was, where there was a video emerging of him being detained or arrested. It was strange. Now the circumstances were not fully known. Alexander Usyk's wife actually went to social media and said everything is fine. Alexander Usyk will explain later. Nothing criminal. Good night, everyone. That was from his wife. Now Alexander Usyk went all the way down. This was resolved quick. Quick. Obviously shows there was nothing untoward. He goes, all is well, my friends. There was a misunderstanding, was quickly resolved. Thank you to everyone who was worried. Thank you, Ukrainian diplomats, for your support, and respect to the Polish law enforcers who performed their duties despite the height, weight, and harm. Usyk, who doesn't like Usyk? Honestly. But it was strange seeing that because Alexander Usyk is someone who you would not. You'd look at that and you'd be like, what the hell just happened? And considering it was resolved like that, it does kind of tend to make you think it probably was a misunderstanding. Some of the things I've heard is that they had an 11-hour trip to get to the airport in Poland. Usyk was flying first class, as obviously he would, and the friend he was with was flying just standard business class. They were tired, friend fell asleep, they misinterpreted him to be intoxicated, and he clearly wasn't, and that was all that it was. So that's what I've heard. Whether it's true or not, but whatever it was resolved like that. So if it was a big issue, well, it wouldn't have been resolved as quick, I don't think anyway. In terms of some other things that are happening, this is an interesting one. Devin Haney has insisted that he won't be changing his trainer or corner team following the Ryan Garcia fight. He said, why would I switch up on my people when they didn't do anything wrong? He took PEDs, they won't change the formula. Yes, he did. Well, he certainly failed, but there was still mistakes Devin Haney was making in there. You know, again, you could say, well, okay, yeah, look, he was caught with PEDs, Osterine, I think it was. There were still mistakes Haney was making, fundamental mistakes in there. You got to remember that. Haney has also said that Teofimo Lopez has rejected the opportunity to fight as part of the Riyadh show. I was supposed to be back in the ring in October in Saudi, and the next fight was going to be Teo. Turkey offered him a fight. He said he's not ready. That's according to Devin Haney. I would like to hear Teofimo Lopez, what he has to say with regards to those, claims that offered a fight against Devin Haney in October as part of Riyadh season. You would imagine, considering there's only one show in October in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, that it would have been on the undercard of Dmitry Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev, which would have actually had, if it had been announced, it would have had Shakur Stevenson. It would have had 3 of those guys on it. Instead, well, I don't think they've even announced an updated fight for that card at all. So I think it's going on without Shakur Stevenson. So some people would say, is that really a bad thing? Anthony Joshua on Anthony Fowler's with IFL TV. Anthony Joshua on Anthony Fowler's TalkSport interview about Daniel Dubois hurting him in sparring. One of the coaches called me and was like, he's a snake. That was never like that. He's trying to promote CBDs in it. That was on Anthony Fowler saying that Anthony Joshua was rocked by Daniel Dubois from a short left hook in sparring. Dubois could have finished the job but didn't out of respect. That was what Anthony Fowler was claiming. Now, Anthony Fowler, would he have spent... See, Anthony Fowler would have been in Team GB with Daniel Dubois, but he would have been in the same gym with Daniel Dubois around about the same time, because he was trained by Shane McGuigan, if I'm not mistaken, late on in his career. Early on, he was trained by Dave Colwell. Dave Colwell's a good guy, but as a trainer, he's not the greatest trainer in the world. Shane McGuigan, I would rate him a lot more highly, and I'm pretty sure he went to Shane McGuigan. So he would have probably been in the same camp with Daniel Dubois around about that time. Interesting. Jesse Bam Rodriguez will defend his WBC super flyweight world title versus interim WBC, so basically a mandatory, Pedro Guevara. Next, Guevara has confirmed possibly to land co-main the Jerome Boots Ennis show November the 9th in Philadelphia. So that would actually be a decent little card. Boots Ennis headlining. At what weight, we don't know, but Boots Ennis headlining, Bam Rodriguez on the undercard. That's actually not a bad little fight. Genuinely, it's not a bad little fight whatsoever. In terms of everything else, I think that's pretty much it. Like I said, it wouldn't be a long midweek report. We're really kind of going to be waiting to see what is going to be the situation with the press conference. What's going to be said by whoever, what both guys are going to be talking about. That's really primarily what we're going to be talking about. So I'm looking forward to seeing what both guys are saying. I'm looking forward to doing a video reporting on it. But for now, I will leave it there. One of the shorter episodes of Midweek Report you will see. Because it genuinely, as I said, there's not a lot now. Look at me, I'll make it longer. There's not a great deal about boxing news to really be coming. It's mainly been Joshua Dubois, what's going on with Don Charles, what's going on with Dubois, Spencer Fearon, Alexander Usyk being, having that little issue in Poland. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see with Usyk and Fury how they react when they see one another. Because Fury will be in the same vicinity with Usyk. They might even do a face-off. How will Fury react to the man who beat him? That's going to be a real interesting one. How is he going to react to the man who beat him? I'm going to be intrigued to see how that looks. But for now, people, I will leave it there. I hope you enjoyed the video. Smash the like button if you could, and subscribe, of course, as always, if you haven't already. Peace.